Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows. I watch all the trending shows on Netflix and Apple and Peacock and Paramount and Hulu and everywhere else. I watch all the true crime. I watch all the reality shows. And of course, I watch Sister Wives. And today I want to talk about episode 4, season 19 of Sister Wives, which is called How the Mighty Have Fallen. But before I get into this, I do want to say that tomorrow night is the season premiere of 1,000 Pound Sisters. So in addition to doing weekly coverage of Sister Wives over here, I will return, as I did last year, to my weekly coverage of 1,000 Pound Sisters coverage as well over here. So every Monday, I will be doing Sister Wives coverage for season 19. And then every Wednesday, I will be doing reactions and my response to 1,000 Pound Sisters every week. So you guys can watch that. And then I also finished some shows this weekend and some movies. My husband and I watched Hold Your Breath with Sarah Paulson. It was really, really bad. Just before you watch it, I will just tell you, I would probably not hold my breath, and I probably would not waste my time. And then yesterday, I watched the 2024 version of Salem's Lot. I'm not really sure how I feel. I don't think it... I'm gonna do full videos about both of these, but I do not feel like it holds up to the original, obviously. I think they tried to rush a lot into less than 2 hours. And I didn't really feel like it was scary at all. It kind of felt more like a middle school version of Salem's Lot to me. But anyway, so I'll be doing those full reactions over here. And I also finished the first 2 seasons of Dark Winds. The 3rd season comes out in 2025, and I'm very, very excited about that. If you're looking for a show to binge, I would highly, highly recommend Dark Winds. There's 2 seasons. Each season is 6 episodes each. And it is on Netflix right now, but it started on AMC. So those are the shows that I've been watching. Well, I mean, I've been watching all kinds of shows. So last night I watched Sister Wives. I'm watching season 3 of From. Big Brother, of course, ends next Sunday. After Big Brother is done next Sunday, I will probably Monday or Tuesday do my reaction to the finale, the reunion, and everything to do with Big Brother. But anyway, so today let's get into Sister Wives. I have lots of notes to take. It was interesting because I watched it last night, and towards the end of the show, there was a conversation with Kody and Robyn. And Robyn is confronting Kody about his relationship with his kids. It's a very interesting conversation because in her diary room confessional, Robyn says something to the effect of that she thinks that he should be camping out on the kids' front porches because he has literally no relationship with any of the kids except for Robyn's kids at this point. He has no relationship. And he goes on, and I'll get into the details of what he says before, but he said that he feels like they betrayed him and they bring contempt to the conversation and that basically they're just gossiping him behind his back. And he says that the reason that they don't want to have a relationship with him is that it's solely based on the fact that he is not as in love with their mothers as he is with Robyn. And he turns the whole thing around. Now, what's interesting about this is that I got several DMs from people afterwards that said to me that they really liked Robyn in this scene and they really felt bad for Robyn in this scene, and they thought she was trying to do the right thing. And the only reason I'm saying this at the beginning of this is because, first of all, I just like to see an episode where Robyn doesn't cry throughout the entire episode. I mean, that's why she's called Sobbin' Robyn, and she cries through the entire episode, right? And so, I mean, this season is really the fallout of Robyn. But the reason why I want to talk about this at the beginning, and I will also talk about it at the end, is that I really struggled with how I felt about Robyn from the very beginning of Robyn being introduced, which was, I think, season 1 is when she came into the show. The reason why I've had an issue with Robyn was that I came into the show late, years after, 15 years later than everybody else had watched it. And so everybody that was telling me about the show already kind of had a preconceived idea about Robyn. So I had all that in my ear. When I started watching it, I was like, well, she seems really nice. She seems like she really believes in plural marriage, that she really wants to be with all of them. She wants to be a sister wife. The thing is that I've heard a lot of people say this too, her actions don't meet her words, right? For example, at the very end of this conversation, I mean, she really pushes him to have a relationship with his kids, and she's like, I mean, he can't do it. We'll get into this later, but at the very end of it, he says to her in there, he says, where is it? I took notes on it. she asks him to promise that he'll work on his relationship with his kids, and he pauses, and then he says, okay, a little bit. And then he says he doesn't care, and this is the thing, is that you can tell he doesn't care about the kids. She knows it, right? And then he goes in there and he says that they're just going to blame Robyn for all the problems that they have with their dad. And then he says that he'd rather get into a better place with Robyn before he works on his relationship with her kids. And she's like, thank you. Like, I really needed to hear that. Now, this is the essence of Robyn, okay, right here. And this is what I think is important that took me 18 seasons to really decipher, is that in this moment when she's begging Kody to have a relationship with her kids, okay, that he says to her, I would rather work out what's going on with us in this moment, and then I will work on my relationship with her kids. When they have shown this 20-minute conversation, right, that they had to stop filming because he drove off when they were in the middle of a fight. Because now what I'm also realizing is that Sister Wives has been majorly edited. They didn't really say anything about it until season 18 when Mary said that there were private conversations that Kody didn't want discussed on camera. That was really the first discussion of it. And then Janelle has hinted at it too. So before season 18, we didn't really know how highly edited the show is. Now, I have an issue with this, okay, and watching a lot of reality TV, that when you watch 1,000 Pound Sisters, you know, which is also in TLC, when you watch these other shows, they show a lot of fighting. They show the reality, or the majority of what's really going on. So what we now know is that for the last 18 seasons, we've gotten a very watered down, edited version in favor of Kody, okay? And just now, it's coming out as really the wives' stories. But in this moment, when Robyn is really pushing Kody to have a relationship and work on his relationship with his kids, in that moment, okay, he says to her, now, we know that before the cameras are rolling, because this conversation, she comes down and he comes back from his drive, and she says, are you feeling better? And he goes, I'm still a little bit angry or whatever. And she's coddling him. She constantly is coddling him, right? Like, she's the mother in this relationship with Kody. And so they're having this very nice conversation about his relationship with his kids, which he can't even really be nice then, for camera. This is not the conversation that they originally had off camera. This is for camera. And even then, when she makes him promise that he'll work on the relationship for the kids, he goes, I'll promise a little bit, is what he says. Then he turns it and he says, I would rather work on our relationship and make sure that we're good, and this is so important, and he says, and then work on the relationship with the kids. And she goes, that's what I needed to hear. Now, if she really cared about his relationship with his other 25 kids, then what she would say is, you know what, Kody, you have given me a lot of attention in the last couple years. You stayed at my house through the lockdown. You didn't hang out with your kids, because if we can all see it on television, if the kids have all been saying it, if the ex-wives have all been saying it, then there's no way that Robyn can't see it. Robyn even said that she told him he needed to go stay with his other wives, and he didn't want to do that, right? So in that moment, when she's begging him to have a relationship with his kids, and she says, that's what I needed to hear, is that you want to work things out with me, what she should have said was, you know what, Kody? Because she says in there, I was attracted to him because of how he treated his kids. Which he never spent a lot of time with his kids, ever. Go back and watch the seasons like I did, binge watch them. He never spent any time with his kids. I don't know where he was, because they were always like, he's never at our house, and he was never with the kids. I don't know where Kody was. I don't know where he was. He said in this episode, he was like, you know, they would get mad at me, but then the other wives were mad because I wasn't at their house when I was at the other wives' house. No, you were always at Robyn's house, and if you weren't at Robyn's house and she thought you were there, then where were you? Do you have a side piece somewhere, Kody, that you're keeping? With your blue silk shirt that you had on in this episode? I mean, where is that side piece? Is that story coming out? Because you always act like you're at one of these houses, but you're very rarely at any of the houses. So what's interesting to me is that if she really cared about these relationships in that moment, she would have said, you know what, Kody? You have given us and our kids enough time. You need to go focus on your other kids. This is the time that you need to focus on the other kids. That was a part of you that I was attracted to, and you're not giving any time and energy. I mean, he is my age, talking about how these kids that are early 20s, how they're grown adults, and they're bringing, he takes no responsibility for it. I mean, I had very little respect for Kody Brown anyway, but this episode, and his lack of ability, of awareness, and him seeing any part in his relationship with the downfall of his kids, I mean, it was baffling to me. I mean, it was like, he is literally a child. So that was towards the end of it, but let's get into the beginning of the episode. I have so many notes. So apparently, this is from my last episode. I talked about the wedding that they all went to, and I speculated that it was Michelle and Logan's wedding, and that Logan just didn't want possibly camera crews there because Logan doesn't want to be part of the show anymore. Apparently, I got a lot of DMs about this afterwards, and a lot of comments that Michelle came out and confirmed, Logan's wife, Michelle, came out and confirmed that that was in fact their wedding that they all went to. I don't know why they couldn't have just said it was Logan and Michelle's wedding. That's what's so interesting to me. Maybe, like, I think somebody said to me that Logan didn't want any, like, he didn't even want it said on the show that it was his wedding or anything like that. But I think it's interesting that after the fact, his wife comes out and confirms that it is a wedding. It would have made a lot more sense for the episode. This is where the edit is so bad. And the thing is, if you're not showing fights and you're editing out the truth, nobody's going to continue to watch the show because the show is a watered down version of the truth. And now we're realizing that it always has been, right? When all these wives are coming out, the kids are coming out, they're telling things. What we're seeing is we never really saw the truth, you know? So what their attempt was to show that plural marriage was normal, and what we're realizing was that maybe it never was, you know? And now Kody says he's lost his religion. None of them really are part of this religion at all anymore. None of them talk about church. I mean, Mary does a little bit, Janelle sometimes, but hardly ever, right? And so, I mean, what this show became, it's like why I say about these religious families on reality shows, their first commandment should be, thou shalt not do reality TV, because it ruins the show. I will tell you what was so cringe, and it felt cringe when I first watched it, but in retrospect, it even feels more cringe, is the scene from, like season 1, when it's before they move to Las Vegas, and he brings all the kids around, and he's like, hey, you guys know Robyn? And they're all like, yeah. And he's like, do you guys like Robyn? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, well, Robyn likes us, too. So basically, I'm going to be fucking her every night, and she's my new wife. And they're like, okay, Dad. I mean, it's so weird in retrospect, and everything that's gone down with Robyn and the rest of the wives, it's so cringe to watch that scene, and that I actually bought into that and thought it was kind of normal. It's so weird to me. But anyway, it came out that that was Logan and Michelle's wedding, that they all kind of said we were going to a wedding, and we can't say what wedding we're going to, but we're all going to this wedding that nobody can say. So thank you guys for letting me know about that. I appreciate it. There's a lot I don't know. I don't keep up with every story that's out there. I know most of it, but if you guys have stuff to inform me of, please don't feel like you're going to ruin it for me or anybody else. Please leave it in the comment sections. I appreciate that. You guys educate me a lot. So then it goes into this whole, it starts with, like, Christine hanging out with McKelty's twins, and they're talking about how Robyn really, really helped out, and she spent the night in the closet, and she was in the closet with the kids, the twins, and she really helped out. And then Tony says she's like the prophet of pooping, because she was like, that child shall poop, and then the child pooped, and stuff like that. I mean, Robyn's full of shit anyway, so Robyn should probably, it doesn't surprise me that Robyn can sense when somebody's gonna shit, because she's full of shit herself. So anyway, but apparently she's a prophet of pooping now. So she really helped out, and then Robyn's like, I'm just really hoping that this is a starting point for Christine and I, and that we can co-grandparent together. Co-grandparent? Girl, what is that? Getting some counseling for co-grandparenting? Y'all both live in 2 different states. Christine don't want anything to do with you, and it's not co-grandparenting because you are both married to the same man that you're still with and she's divorced from. By the way, Christine goes into this whole thing about how she's gone on her second date with David, and I'm like, girl, we didn't watch The Wedding, 2 episodes of it the last season, okay? The editing of Sister Wives is so bad. Like, when they pick up filming and when they stop, it's just so bad. So anyway, but Christine, and congratulations to McKelty and Tony on their twins and stuff like that. And Robyn, it was like the scene when Robyn's leaving, and she's like, I'm just so sad that well, you're sad because, you know, this is probably, because she's like, I just wish that this was like what is she saying here? I have it written down. She says that Robyn doesn't want to leave because I'm like, she's like, I'm so sad. And it keeps on flashing between her and Kody. And Cody's like, yeah, at some point I'm going to have to see the grandkids. And I'm like, yeah, because they are your grandchildren, you know? And she's like, I'm just so sad to leave. And she's like in the car crying and how nice it was and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I've had moments like this in my life before. She's crying because she knows this is the last moment that she's going to ever have with, like, McKelty and the whole family being like that. I mean, she's sensing that the end of what was Sister Wives, or, I mean, it has taken Robyn so, I mean, they, like, just until last episode, they were talking about everybody building out at Coyote Pass. I mean, her and Kody live in this delusional world where they still think that a few phone calls is going to fix everything. I mean, we already know Christine's married to somebody else, and she sold her property. Mary's living in the B&B, and she don't even want to be around Kody because Kody says it makes him awkward because he can't put his tongue down Robyn's throat. That's what he said. I can't have Mary around because she's the other wife, and I can't be affectionate the way that I want to be to Robyn, okay? Basically, that he wants to tongue kiss her in front of Mary, okay? When he hadn't tongue kissed Mary in forever. And he can't have Janelle around because, of course, Janelle is like, I gotta have his rock hard abs and his buns of steel, when Janelle hasn't wanted to fuck the man in years. I can't imagine anybody would with the ramen noodle hair, okay? But anyway, so he doesn't want to have Mary over for Thanksgiving because they're all planning Thanksgiving. And then Mary's like, well, Mary's story about Thanksgiving was so weird to me, but anyway. So it goes in this whole thing, then Robyn leaves, and there's Kody in his blue silk shirt that he got from International Mail, circa 1988. Do y'all remember that catalog? International Mail. I think that's where he got that shirt. It was probably when he was looking at all the Speedo underwear and things like that. But anyway, he's talking about how he's having a really difficult time with his kids. I mean, I'm like, oh, you mean because you have no relationship with your kids? Is that what you mean, Kody Brown? Okay. So then they're all preparing for Thanksgiving. Robyn asks Mary to come for Thanksgiving, but Kody says that he and Robyn don't act like a married couple in front of Robyn because he says it's awkward when Mary's there because he can't be affectionate to Robyn. So then Mary says she's going to California. That's the first thing she says, is I'm going to California. I got plans in California, okay? But then Mary says she's just staying in town. They show her, like, sweeping the driveway. And she's like, no, I just stayed in town. I'm not going to their house for Thanksgiving, right? But then, but I do love what she says here. She goes, when a man and woman aren't married anymore, they don't spend Thanksgiving together. Now, I brought my trash fan out just for Kody Brown, okay? And I'm like, you know what, Mary? That is actually a really valid point, okay? That when a man and a woman are married anymore, they don't spend Thanksgiving together. I think what's interesting to me was, and then Mary gets sick on Thanksgiving, okay? And she's like, I've been sick since Tuesday. So I don't know what happened. I mean, I believe she got sick. She sounded sick, right? But first she had plans in California. Then she said she just didn't want to go because it would be awkward and she's just going to stay at home, and ex-married folk don't spend Thanksgiving together. I mean, I think some ex-married folk do, and it works, but most don't. I think we'd admit to that, right? But then she gets sick and she can't leave the house. And then everybody's like, and then and Robyn's like, she was in town and she was at her house and she was saying, why didn't you send a plate over? Did you even check on her? What that means is you didn't even check on her and text her, okay? You could have sent a plate over. You could have put on her front porch a plate so that Mary could have at least had a plate on Thanksgiving. We've all done that for somebody in our lives, okay? It means you don't care about, this is another lie of Robyn Brown. You don't care about Mary. You want to act for camera like you care about Mary, but you don't give a shit about Mary, okay? At least Christine can come out and say, I don't want Mary to spend Thanksgiving alone, but we don't ever talk. I haven't talked to Mary in 12 years. I mean, at least Christine don't act like she even likes Mary, okay? We know that. And Janelle's like, I don't really know what's going on with Mary and Kody. Are they still married? And Christine's like, I don't really know. Mykelti and Christine, do you notice that they speak the exact same way? They both have that, like, that accent that I don't... It sounds like they're from, like, upper New York, but they're from Salt Lake City. I'm confused about the accent that Christine has. But Mykelti has the same accent, because I think Mykelti really wants to be like her mom. But I kind of like how authentic and real Mykelti and Tony are, so I'm like, please don't lose that a little bit, you know? But at least Christine comes out and she's like, yeah, Mary and I don't have a relationship. Janelle's like, yeah, Mary and I don't have a relationship, okay? Robyn's like, I love Mary! You didn't even send her a plate for Thanksgiving. No stuffing. No turkey. Not even a fucking can of cranberry sauce. Get over it, Robyn Brown. Okay, all you care about is Kody Brown and your kids. So anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird. Then, Robyn's Thanksgiving, she's crying again. She's crying all the time, okay? I swear to God, I can't believe they haven't gotten themselves a Kleenex sponsorship as much as that gal cries. I mean, I cry a lot. I do. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry all the time. I cry on video. I cry off video. She cries more than I do, okay? She cries more than I do. So Robyn's talking about how she misses, I miss the family so much. And then Kody goes on about how he can't be affectionate with her when Mary's around. I'm like, you can't not be, I mean, what, you have to be so affectionate to Robyn for one day. You haven't been with Mary for 10 years. One day, you can't not, for Mary to have somebody to spend Thanksgiving with, that's your selfishness, right? And what it's basically saying is that he didn't ever want to be in plural marriage anymore, okay? Because he's like, something's missing. And I'm like, if you can't go one day being around your other wives so that you can't hold hands or tongue kiss Robyn Brown or something like that, then that means you don't want to be in plural marriage. And I don't think he has been for a long time. In retrospect, it's interesting to me because he kind of plays it up still, like in season 19, like it was just a disillusion of the men, and the wives got gossipy, and he just didn't fall in love with them as madly as he fell in love with Robyn Brown and all this kind of stuff, which is so weird to me. Like, can somebody explain to me the special sauce? Like, I just don't get it about Robyn Brown, okay? Like, I just don't understand it. When you put all 4 wives together, I think each of them offer different things as a wife, okay? Positive, I think conflictual things, but they all offer something. What is it about Robyn Brown that when she came along, I mean, let's just be for real, okay? There have been moments where I've really liked Robyn Brown. I mean, they called her a trophy wife. I'm like, Robyn Brown is a trophy wife? The wives called her that. I mean, let's just be for real. It's not like she's Miss Las Vegas, okay? I mean, it's not even like she's Miss Cougar Lounge 1989, okay? Wet t-shirt contest. She's just not. No offense, Robyn, but okay? But anyway, I'm very confused about what it was, unless it was that he thought he could control Robyn and he couldn't control the other wives, which is why when he has a conversation with Christine, he says that they're going to go back to patriarchy. And Janelle's like, I'm out. I never signed up for this. Unless that was it. And this is where when I say this, people are like, no, Robyn's controlling things. I think Kody and Robyn want it to look like Robyn's controlling things because then everybody can blame everything. I think Kody wants it to look like Robyn's controlling everything because then everybody can blame Robyn for the downfall of the marriages. Because he keeps on bringing that up. The kids think that you ruined the marriage and I'm not going to have them come for you this way. I don't think he realizes how this plays out on television, right? So it's like either Kody Brown's wearing pants in the family, or Robyn Brown's wearing pants in the family, but I don't think we really know. But what we do know, okay, is that Kody Brown has a blue silk shirt, and it's not good, okay? It's not good at all, okay? I mean, it is Rue 21 clearance rack. It is not good, that blue silk shirt, okay? I don't know where he's wearing that. I don't know if, like, whenever I see him dance at one of those weddings, I always feel like the Charlie Brown, you know, the Peanut specials, like the Christmas when they're all dancing. Why does he always look like one of those characters dancing? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He always looks like one of those characters with his hair flopping around. That blue silk shirt, not a vibe, okay? I'm not vibing on that shirt at all. But it will look really good with Robyn's Affliction jeans and shirt and her bedazzled purse, probably. So that's probably why they picked that. But I'm so confused about all this kind of stuff, okay? So then Robyn goes on about how she misses the family and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is what he wanted all along. In retrospect, it really seems like he deliberately did this. And why is it taking me so long to catch on to this? That all of this that he did was deliberate to just get with Robyn, okay? So I don't know. And I'm kind of like, why did it take me so long to figure this out? I think because I always wanted to continue to believe that Robyn Brown, like there was something redeemable about her. But, like, it's either, like, I mean, she's spent so much time with him. It's either, like, that's the truth and she knows it. Like, I really believe this. She knows he doesn't want a relationship with the kids. The other wives know that he doesn't want a relationship with the kids. He knows he doesn't want a relationship with the kids. The saddest fact is, the kids know he doesn't want a relationship with the kids. Robyn says she doesn't respect him if he feels that way. But Robyn already knows that because every conversation they show on camera, they've already had behind the scenes. More heated, right? So she already knows who he is. So why is she staying for him? Financially? Because if you look in the past, okay, he had to clean up her credit. He had to clean up her debt. So I really look in retrospect that Kody Brown came in. It wasn't just plural marriage. It was Kody Brown came in and saved the day for Robyn. He cleaned up everything for her back in the day. You know, I'll never forget them. Like, she was afraid she wasn't going to get the house in Las Vegas and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he fixed her. He fixed everything for her. That she's now got this house that they're selling and whatever and all this kind of stuff. I mean, he was kind of like, but I think she wanted him all along, all to begin with. And I think she convinced him that this plural marriage stuff is bullshit. He talks about how he'd been in love with Mary since Utah, okay? And Janelle and Christine and all this kind of stuff. Talks about how it's been 10 years with all them and all kind of stuff. If that's true, then the show is total bullshit. Then you've been lying for years. Because for years on the show, you were going on dates, doing birthdays, anniversaries, saying you were still so in love with them, selling the story to us about that, how plural marriage looked. Then you want to say why people don't believe you, Kody, then you need to get on camera and you need to say, I was a complete liar for the television show. I wanted the TV show to continue to last, and that's why I lied and acted like I was in love with all these women. I was never in love with any of these women. And then it might make sense that when Robyn Brown came along, you fell in love with Robyn Brown and you weren't in love with the other women anymore, okay? Then it would make sense that you just did it for the TV show. That would be reality TV, okay? I'd like to see that breaking of the fourth wall is what I'd like to see, okay? Then it goes on, and here's where Marion's going to sit, and I'm like, and then it goes into this whole thing where nobody still knows that Mary and Kody are separated. Like, Christine and Janelle are both like, I don't really know what's going on. And then she says her being sick is her body telling her to figure things out. I'm like, girl, figure what out? The man has told you he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't even want to be friends with you. He says, I hope we can have an amicable separation. He hasn't talked, these women haven't talked to him in like a year. Janelle says she hasn't talked to him in a year, even texted him. A year! And you're wondering if your marriage is still intact? You need to figure out what's going on. Girl, cut ties. It's done. These people live in this world that is so bizarre to me. Is it all for just a TV show? So anyway, then before the cameras arrive in the final scene, Robyn and Kody get into a fight because they refuse to show it on camera, right? And I'm like, the fights are the only thing that are saving the show at this point. Like, the best moment was the knife in the kidney, and then when Janelle about grabbed her skinny ass walking out the door and said, fuck you. That was probably the two best scenes that have ever been in 18 seasons of this show, okay? The fights are saving this show. I can tell you right now, this show might not make it another season, all right? Then it goes on, and Kody goes for a drive, then he comes back, and then when she says, are you doing okay? He blames it on the rift with the wives. He's like, our fights are because of them, is what he says. And then Robyn goes on, talks about how worried she is about the kids, and they act like nothing happens, and the cameras are on. He goes, I'm so tired of being angry. He's like, the kids are always saying that I was in a third house, and he goes, he said I was with you. And I'm like, well, you were either at Robyn's house or you were somewhere else. So if you weren't at Robyn's house, where the fuck were you, dude? Okay? Were you with your side piece that hasn't come out and told her story yet because you probably paid her a bunch of money? Where were you? Okay? And then he goes on and says the kids are upset about how he treated... I'm like, no, the kids are upset about how you treated them, okay? Gabriel probably won't take your call because he's like, I was skiing the other day and I thought about Gabriel. Why didn't you ask your son Gabriel to go skiing? Have you ever thought about that? Or how about out to lunch? No, because you forgot Gabriel's birthday, okay? When you had balloons and a cake and sang birthdays to all of Robyn's kids, but you completely forgot Gabriel's birthday. Do you not remember that? I watched that episode, okay? You didn't go to the surgeries. You didn't do none of this stuff. That's probably why your kids don't want anything to do with you. It doesn't have them anything to do with you talking mad shit about their mothers. He keeps on saying, they're just upset because I wasn't as deeply in love with, I didn't fall madly in love with their mothers the way that I fell in love with you, Robyn. And she's like, oh, really? You want to lick my cooch? Oh, that makes me so happy. Can we have another baby? I'm like, girl, enough of this, okay? Enough. I'm over it. I'm over this whole Robyn Brown thing. It's so, she's so weird to me. Anyway, then they go on, and he says that the kids are purposely leaving him out of their lives to punish him because he wasn't madly in love. This is going to stop in a second. Hold on. Before I get to the end of this video, I gotta, because this is the good part. Okay. He says they're purposely leaving him out of their lives to punish him because he wasn't madly in love with their mothers and that they're spreading gossip. And he's like, gossip killed our family. And then Janelle goes in and goes, Kody Brown gossips just as much as everybody else does. He was like, she's like, when I was with him, he had always talked about marrying Christine. And I'm like, okay, this is why this show is trash, okay? Because 6 to 8 seasons ago, y'all should have shown that, okay? Now what it's coming out is that you're all liars. And you were all you were doing these lectures, okay, with colleges and universities, trying to show how healthy and honest plural marriage is. And what we're seeing in retrospect is, you done sold us a lie, okay? Which is why none of the kids want anything to do with you. And why all along, every one of those kids said that they never want to be part of plural marriage, except for like 2 of them. Even questioned it. And none of them want to be part of plural marriage, okay? And, in looking back on it, it's like, if plural marriage was so great, why weren't all the kids signing up for it? And all the kids were like, no, I don't want any part of it whatsoever, okay? Well, now in retrospect, it makes sense because it was all a scam behind the scenes. They were showing us edited pieces, right? And we know that that's coming out because the kids are starting to talk. See, the one thing they never expected about this is that these kids would grow up and they would start talking about what's going on. And that's what's happening, okay? They're coming out and they're talking in public, they're doing live streams, they're doing reactions to the episodes and things like that. So that's what's starting to happen, okay? So Kody can keep on getting on this TV show and talking about how bitter these kids are, but from anybody that's watched the show, what you know is that they're bitter because he was an absent father that treated the kids like shit, and as soon as Robyn and her kids came into the picture and he started having kids with her, those kids were kids of gold, and he totally didn't ever have anything to do with his other kids again. The last time he ever did anything was with the other kids, which Robyn's kids were part of this. He took all the girls to California. That was the last time, and I think that was season 13 or 14. That was the last time he ever did anything specifically with the kids. Most of the times that you would watch him, I mean, now he's playing with the kids. We have game night. We play musical instruments. Most of the time when they would show him back in the day at Christine or Mary's or Janelle's house, he was sleeping in a recliner while she was cooking in the kitchen. He was not interacting with the kids, always. Never was interacting with the kids, ever. So for Mary to say, or for Robyn to say that he was always there for the, no, he wasn't. We never saw that on camera. And if you edited that part out, why'd you edit that part out? You edited all the fights and the realistic part, right? And I love that Janelle calls him out and says he's the biggest gossip more than all of them, right? Then Robyn talks about her biological father and how he was absent. He didn't want anything to do with her. And then she tries to rationalize him caring for the kids. And I'm like, and she's like, okay, he's not going to try, and he says he's not going to try and have a conversation with them if he's always going to be rejected and betrayed by them, is what he says. So it's all about him, right? It's all about Kody Brown. It has nothing to do with the relationship with the kids. Which for years, the kids have been saying, as soon as they become adults, that he wants nothing to do with them anymore. He only wants to have a relationship with the younger kids. Then he says, he keeps on saying that they're punishing him for a crime that he didn't commit, okay? And then he goes in and he says, the lockdown, the rules for lockdown, 3 divorces. But I'm like, nobody knows that you and Mary are divorced. The breakup of the family, all the secrecy, all the upheaval. And he goes, and I'm like, thinking it, and I'm like, yep, that's all your fault. You just listed all those things. All the divorces, that was your doing. You didn't want to be with those wives anymore. The rules during the lockdown, yeah, those were your rules. And Robyn's rules. You not spending any time with the other wives, that was your doing, not their doing. I mean, this is all you. And then he goes on to say, all this damage and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm like, well, maybe you could start with taking a little bit of accountability since you just listed all these things, you know what they are. People DM'd me and they were like, Kody took a lot of responsibility. I'm like, because in one episode, he said in there that he should have gone, well, we'll get to that in just a second. But then he asks Robyn, he's like, did I do something wrong besides not falling madly in love with their mother? I'm like, yeah, you didn't give any attention to those kids whatsoever. You had no parental relationship with those kids. That's why they don't want anything to do with you. Because they don't see you as a father, Kody. They don't see you as a father. That's why Christine's kids are flocking to David. Because they don't even see Kody as a father because he hasn't been a father for so long, right? Robyn's worried about him being an absent father now. Hell, he's been an absent father for 15 years. Why would it surprise them now? That's why it's so easy for them to cut him off. Because he hasn't been a part of their life for so long. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. For the kids, you know? And I'm like, Kody, do you even watch the show? Do you even watch the fact that you have never interacted with your kids? And when the lockdown happened, you really only were ever with Robyn? Even though the other kids were asking you and you always blamed it on the rules? You could have equally stayed at any of their houses. You could have stayed with Janelle even though the kids were coming and going to work. What were they supposed to do? Quit their jobs? I mean, okay, you could have just stayed at Janelle's house and followed those rules and then never seen Robyn and never seen Christine. You never were seeing Mary anyway. But you could have stayed just at Christine's house and never seen Robyn and never seen Janelle. But you picked Robyn's house because she was the most loyal following all the rules. Okay. Then Robyn says that, because he goes on and says that they always blame her. And she's like, they can talk to me. And he says that he loved her and not their mother. And I'm like, do you not understand how that might hurt your kids to hear that? That you never loved their mothers, but you always loved Rob. Like, that might be a little hurtful for your kids to hear, you know? That might be a little hurtful. I don't know, you know? I mean, my parents went through a divorce. I can remember having conversations with my dad, like, did you ever love Mom? He's like, absolutely. But we fell out of love. You know, I can remember those conversations. If my dad had looked at me and said, I never loved your mother, I've been devastated. If my mother had said that about my father, that would have hurt. Because I was a product of that. I mean, I don't think he sees this at all, right? And then he's like, yeah, I'll make the effort. I'm like, for who? For Robyn? Because she's begging you to? And then she's asking if he'll talk to the kids. And I'm like, and he's like, it's a total betrayal. And he's like, everything they're being fed is not true. And Robyn's like, they need you in their life, Kody. And she's like grabbing his head at this point. It's like so coddling, like a little kid. And then he puts it on the kids and blames them and says it's all about the shit talking that their mothers are doing. I'm like, you don't get it. And then he talks about how he gave up on love because it just wasn't enough love. I'm like, or was it that Robyn came along and she was the wife that you always wanted, right? And he's like, if they don't bring contempt to the conversation, he will not have a conversation that he cannot control. That's why he doesn't want to have a conversation with the kids. Because he doesn't want to hear things that are pointing in his direction that he can't control. Which is why every conversation he doesn't like, he walks away from. And they've shown that for years. And then he talks about he's completely lost his religion. Then Robyn says she's losing respect for him. And then he goes, is that because of me or is that because of your relationship with your dad? And I'm like, oh, that's gaslighting at its best. Ooh, that is really gaslighting, Kody. You're gaslighting the kids. You're gaslighting Robyn, blaming it on her dad. And she's sitting there listening to it. If that were me, if I were Robyn Brown in that moment, and he said that, is it because of your dad, Robyn? I'd have said, fuck you, Kody Brown. You're about to get your divorce papers. I can't believe she stood there and listened to it. And then I'm like, you might start to see changes in this when you listen to it. But he won't listen to anything. He won't listen to anything. And then he's like, I don't know, I might get to the point of forgiving them. I'm like, forgiving them? The kids? Maybe they'll get to a point of forgiving you, Kody, because you've been a shit father. And then she says that she thinks that he should be camping out on their doorsteps. Then Robyn, this is where she's talking to him like a little kid, and she's coddling him. I mean, look, you can see the look in his eyes. He didn't even see his part in this whatsoever, right? And he keeps on going on for, I was punished for a crime I didn't commit. And I'm like, and then he says something about the rules, and I'm like, okay. The two things he takes responsibility for, which people DM'd me and they were like, well, he finally took some responsibility. He took responsibility for asking Garrison and Gabriel to move out of Janelle's house, and he took responsibility for not going to Isabel's surgery. Those were the two things that he's done wrong in his relationship with the kids. Those two things. He said, had he not done those things, the kids would still want a relationship with him. The rest of it is about the shit talking of the mothers, blaming on the kids, their betrayal, and their gossiping. It's all on the kids, the rest of it. Then he says he doesn't try enough with them because it'll trigger them because they'll start accusing him of things. No, what it means is that he can't control the conversation. He can't control what they're going to say to him. And I'm like, or is it that you just don't care, you know? And then this is when he says he'd rather be in a better place with Robyn. And I'm like, that's the problem right there. You've always just wanted to fix things with Robyn. You don't care about your kids. You don't care about the other wives, you know? And he says to her, I'm standing here with the person I love the most in the world, and I want to fix this. And she goes, that's great to hear. And I'm like, see, Robyn, you just proved you're part of the problem. Because that was your moment to say, Kody, I don't really give a shit right now about that. You need to go fix your relationship with the kids. Because she says in there, that's why I fell in love with Kody to begin with. Well, that's the reason why you fell in love with Kody, Robyn. He ain't doing a good job of that today, okay? So when he sits there and tells you he wants to fix things with you, what you need to tell him is, the first way to fix things with me is to start working on your relationship with your kids. Because she says to him, I'm losing respect for you. So if you don't fix your relationship with your kids as a grown-ass man and take some responsibility for it, this relationship ain't going to be fixed. But she doesn't say that. Because she's selfish and all she cares about is her own relationship. Then she asks him to promise if he'll work on it, and he pauses, and then he goes, okay, a little bit. That's all you have to do? That's all you have to give your 18 kids? Okay. Now you wonder why your kids don't want a relationship with you? Like I said, he don't care about these kids, and they know it. And that's the saddest part of all. Robyn knows he doesn't want to have a relationship with these kids. He knows it. Janelle, Christine, and Mary know it. And the saddest of all is that all those kids know it. That's sad. That they know that their dad doesn't want a relationship with them. Good for setting a boundary and saying, I don't want a relationship with you. I think that those kids, how they came out of all this madness and are as healthy as they are, and they are some healthy-ass adults, I do think they are, is amazing to me, right? But no, I ain't giving, this is like, my feelings about, oh, this is great that Robyn's saying this, or this is great that Kody took responsibility for, no, it's a little too late for me, okay? There's a lot of work he needs to do. Let's see those episodes. I want to see those episodes where he's camping out on doorsteps, he's calling them up all the time. I want to see the conversations where they're refusing to talk to him. Okay, I want to see those episodes where he's driving to each of their towns. He's making an effort, okay? Instead of just being hung out on Coyote Pass with Robyn talking about building houses. That's what I want to see. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.